I'm Danica Favorite, and I'm the community manager at PublishDrive. Today, I'm here to talk to you about scaling your publishing business for more efficiency. And so, today, what we're going to do is we're going to go through a few items, and hopefully, you'll come out of it with some ideas of how to scale your business and make things more efficient. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Danica Favorite. I'm the community manager at PublishDrive. I'm a multi-published author of over 27 romance novels. I'm a hybrid author with books both traditionally and independently published. I'm an author coach who's worked with multiple authors on their publishing journey. And I'm the former community manager at Harlequin as part of their Write for Harlequin community, helping aspiring authors get published. I've been in the author space for a long time, but I love authors and I understand the author journey from all perspectives. And so it's really nice to have that variety of perspectives that I can share with you today. PublishDrive is an all-in-one global self-publishing platform to save time and expand reach for authors and publishers. What does PublishDrive offer? One click lets you publish everywhere in ebook, print, and audio. You can publish multiple titles with bulk import. We have an AI metadata tool, as well as promotion tools to boost sales, sales analytics at a glance, and royalty management. Combining these two things together is really a great synergy to be able to talk about scaling and making things more efficient in your publishing process. For an indie author, scaling is the process of expanding and amplifying your reach, influence, and book sales while improving the quality and integrity of your work. So today I'm going to discuss the principles of efficient self-publishing for indie authors. This webinar will offer tailored insights and actionable steps for authors at every stage of their journey. You're going to discover how to streamline your processes, elevate your publishing game, and achieve sustainable growth in today's competitive market. So why a scaling mindset? Why are we here talking about this today? One of the things that I like to point out, because again, PublishDrive is the company I work for and sponsoring this. They are very big on how can we make the publishing process more simple and more efficient for authors. And as an author, I'm always looking at, okay, how do I make my business more simple and more efficient? And why is that? I know that the task to wear as an indie author is intense. And I'm going to say this as someone who's traditionally published. This doesn't change much for being a traditionally published author. To wear a wide variety of hats in order to achieve success in the business, whether that's ad specialist, marketer, project manager, business manager, publisher, designer, writer, formatter, editor. The list just goes on and on. Think about that. Think about these roles and what other roles you might have to play in your publishing business, because it's a lot. There's a lot of things you have to do besides just write the book. I don't know about you, but I didn't sign up for that. How many of you signed up for all of those different roles? When I started writing, I wanted to just simply write a book and have it appear magically on the bookstore bookshelves. That's what I thought being an author was. Unfortunately, as we now learned in this digital age where everything is moving faster than you can blink, that has changed. That's the reality of the publishing business. That's the reality of being an author. And so here's the good news. You are the CEO of your writing business. And now some of you are like, wait, why is that good news? And here's the thing, because all of those roles, all of those tasks, those fall under the of the CEO, and the CEO gets to guide which of those tasks happen, who does what, etc. But ultimately, the CEO is in charge of creating the vision for the writing business. As the CEO of your writing business, you can adopt a scaling mindset to create an efficient business operation that gives you the time and energy to do the things you love the most. Now, me personally, I got into this because I like to write books and I want to write more books. So if I can scale my business, that gives me more time to spend doing the thing I love the most. Some of you are like, no, I'm in it to be the CEO. I want to manage a publishing empire. And that's awesome. And I love that for you. And that's the beauty of being in the publishing business in this day and age. is we get to decide which role we want and what our priorities are. And so by adopting a scaling mindset, we can utilize time management tools and techniques, allocate our resources effectively, identify and utilize the most cost effective resources, streamline operations, optimize publishing process, streamline the publishing workflow, and utilizing tools and resources to expedite the publishing process. As a CEO, we get to make those decisions and we get to decide which of those things is going to help us grow our business the most. And so ask yourself, how can you manage time and resources in your writing business to optimize your publishing experience? So that's when we have to ask, what would a CEO do? Again, this is the great thing because each one of us has a different publishing business and we get to make decisions based on what's best for our publishing business. And so when you think, what would a CEO do? Think about what CEO of your publishing business is going to do. The way we're going to prioritize is we're going to start at the very beginning. And so years ago, when Stephen Covey came out with his 7 Habits of Highly Effective People book, I went to all the classes and seminars about it, and I was very geeking out on it. And the one thing that has stuck with me, even to this day, is the idea of begin with the end in mind. And I know that seems a little different as a publishing professional because so many of us are like, yeah, I just want to publish the book. I just want to get this book out. I want to do this. I want to do that. And what I want us all to do is slow our roll a little bit, take a step back, and begin by asking yourself, what do you want out of your publishing business? I just said earlier that our publishing businesses are all different and they're going to look differently. And we have different priorities and different things we want to accomplish. And so this is where you need to sit down and ask yourself, what do I want out of my publishing business? Now, for some of you, it's going to look one way. For another set of authors, it's going to look a different way. Like I said, I just want to write books. Other people are going to say, no, I want to start this whole publishing empire. Neither answer is good or bad. It's your answer. And so think about, what is it about your publishing business that you want to accomplish? And so once you figure that out, the piece you need to do next is figure out, what is your vision, mission statement for your writing business? So I'm going to start with an example from PublishDrive. And we spent a lot of time working on our vision and our mission statement. And so what we came up with as a company was, our company vision statement was to empower independent professional authors and publishers at every stage of their creative journey, connecting them with readers worldwide for unrivaled success. And our mission is to empower and support independent authors and publishers across all stages of their creative journey through strategic partnerships, comprehensive education, and cutting-edge technology. We provide a user-friendly self-publishing platform for global reach and to go wide with their literary dreams. Now, this is really important, and this is something I'm going to go back to a lot. I really want you to take time to think about this and what this means for you. Because when I go into one of our meetings and I'm like, hey, I have this really cool idea, the first thing that I'm asked, the first thing I need to do in presenting this idea of something I want to do for the authors or this and that is, how does this apply to our mission? How does this apply to our vision? And are we staying on target with what we're actually trying to accomplish? And so it's really important to think about that and come up with something that really resonates well with what you are trying to do. So for me as an author, because you're like, wait, but I'm not a big company, we need to have this for ourselves as authors as well. And so my example, I have actually 2 that eventually they're kind of the same actually, but eventually I'll merge them better and make them more cohesive into like one big Danica life thing. And that is actually the other point I want to bring up, is that when creating your vision and mission statement for you and your writing business, it's an evolving document. It's an evolving thing. But as you grow and evolve as a writer, as an author, as a person, as a business, it's okay to change that. But make this the foundational underpinning of everything you do. So, for my writing coaching, my vision is to empower people to tell their stories because every story matters. And ultimately, that is the very foundation of who I am and what I stand for and what I believe in is that I truly 100% believe that every story matters. And I want people to be empowered to tell those stories and get those stories out to the world. And so for me, that is everything I am in my life. And so when I look at that, that's then my guiding principle. But then as an author, I've taken that and broken it down a little bit more. My mission is to inspire and empower individuals to share their unique stories, reinforcing the belief that every story is valuable. Through my work as an author, I strive to create a sense of belonging and connection, reminding everyone that they are never alone. And see, notice how these two statements really work together in a cohesive way. You would think as an author, I would have like better words for all of this to put it together, but I'm still working on that. And that's okay because I'm still working on that evolution of where I'm going and why. But I know that at least this is a starting point. And so as I'm going through the rest of the presentation, as I'm analyzing all of the different things I need to do for my writing business, I go back to these questions, to this mission, and say, okay, is this thing in alignment with what I'm trying to do? Or maybe do I need to adjust my mission? But like really sitting with those questions and as we look at your turn and being able to do this for yourself, um, this is why that mission is so important. And why, as you're writing that mission, here are the things you want to consider. What are your core values? What is your purpose? Why do you write? And again, there's no wrong answers. This is something that is going to be personal to you. This is something that you need to figure out for yourself. And again, like even though I just said, well, this is kind of evolving, kind of changing, but it's really pretty set in terms of what are my core values. My core value of every person having a valuable story, that's never going to change. The value in who people are, that's not changing. Why I write, maybe that will change over time, but ultimately, I have stories to tell. And I believe that my stories are ones that can help people feel like they are not alone. And so that's who I am as a person, and that's who I am as a writer. And it's really important for you to be clear on that to start with, because in order to scale your business and be more efficient in your business, once you're asking those scaling and efficiency questions, you always want to go back to these items so that you know why you're doing what you're doing and whether or not those decisions are in alignment with these values. What are your goals for your writing business? Notice in none of that mission stuff did I talk about, ooh, I want to be a rich author. That's probably not realistic, but we're not going to go there right now because that's not the point. Think about what those goals are. Think about what that dream is. Like, do you want to make a certain amount of dollars? Is it a certain amount of fans? Do you want to leave a legacy? Maybe it's just you want to express yourself creatively or share an idea. Maybe you want to establish a brand. Maybe you want this big company. Maybe you want to be known for something. Maybe there's a number of books that you want to write. But really take a look at those goals and then ask yourself, how does this align with my mission? Again, we're going back to that mission, back to those values and say, how does this align? Okay. How does helping people align with my brilliant idea of having my own personal island? I don't actually know. That's why I said it's kind of a joke goal, but I joke about it often enough that I feel like eventually I should probably find a way to combine it. But again, like have fun with it and think about what is it that you want to accomplish and why, and keep going back to that, keep going back to those goals and those mission and keep that in alignment. Because again, like, as we talk about scaling, that's where you're going to make those decisions about scaling. I know some of you are like, wait, how is this? This is like goal setting and stuff. Yeah, It is. Because in order to set those goals, in order to understand how to scale your business, you really have to have that idea of why you're doing it and why it's important to you. So now that you know where you want to go, it's time to prioritize. You've got to break down your goals into the tasks needed to reach the goal. Examine what's necessary, what is nice to have, and what isn't needed. And it's important to remember that just because other authors are doing it, it doesn't mean to do it. And again, going back to that consideration of making it personal to you, um, take a look at what's necessary, what's nice to have, what you don't need right now. Like if you don't need certain pieces of the puzzle yet, then why are you focusing on it? So many authors are putting the cart before the horse, focusing on things that they don't need yet because they see all the other authors doing it. And that's why, as you're looking at these tasks, and you're looking at what's necessary, what's nice to have, what's needed, you're really looking at how those things are in alignment with your mission. Because remember, you are the CEO. This is your writing business, not the other authors on Facebook, not the other authors on Twitter, not the other authors you're meeting at conferences. It's what your business needs, what your values are, and always take it back to that focus. And here are some other considerations. Focus on the stage you're in. And it goes back to, again, what does your business need? Not everyone is ready to sell direct. For some, the priority is finishing the book. Remember that the most efficient thing you can do with your time and energy is to focus on what's right for you at your current stage. Here's a great example from my own writing business. I paused all of my ads. And the reason I did that is as I was looking at the conversion, as I was looking at all the things was happening with my books, I realized that what I actually needed was to not do all the ads, not do all these other things. I needed to write another book. And so I paused a lot of my activities because I realized the most important thing I needed right now was another book in that series. And so I paused everything and my focus is on writing the book. Some of you see the pretty shiny stuff of your fellow authors running Kickstarters or launching their subscription platforms. And you're thinking, I need to do that. I need to do that. Do you? Is it in alignment with that mission, with those values, and where you are at your current stage? And it's really important for you to be honest with yourself and what your bandwidth is and continually reassess whether or not your current plan is working for you. It's okay to pivot. Like I said, I really put a lot into doing ads and things like that. And then once I realized, okay, wait, the ROI that I need isn't there. What do I need to do to get there? Okay, boom, time to pivot. And so it's really okay to say that the time isn't right for this. Embrace the idea of not now. We have so much time and we are running our writing careers as if like everything has to be done immediately because it's so urgent and it has to happen immediately or we're going to get left behind. And that's simply not true. You have to do what's right for your writing business in the stage that your writing business is at. Because let's take a look at the time you have in a day, and it isn't as much as you think. So, one of the things I want to do is just give a shout out to Sarah Cannon and her HB90 course. Some of the scheduling stuff I'm talking about, she goes into a lot of detail in this course, and so I highly recommend it. I've done a similar scheduling thing with a coach that I worked with years ago, and so I love the way she does it. So as you're looking at your time blocks and figuring out how much time you have, if this is a struggle or a pain point for you, I highly recommend taking Sarah's course and talking to Sarah about this more. She's also got some really excellent YouTube videos on it. But as you look at this lady staring at the screen and all of her blocks of time, actually, that might also be a man. I am sorry if I misgendered that person. I should not have done that. But anyway, if you look at this person, looking at their schedule on the computer, it's really important to notice all the different blocks of time. And when you're thinking about your schedule, you need time for sleep, you need time to eat. You've got your daily life tasks like laundry. I wish the laundry fairy would come to my house, but so far it hasn't happened. Time for your family, time for your pets, those of you who have work, time for your job, and your hobbies, your spiritual life, resting, exercising, whatever else is on your plate. And yes, I intentionally put hobbies, spiritual life, rest, exercise on this list because you have to be intentional about putting those things that are important to you in your schedule so that you don't miss them. One of the reasons I think so many authors are burning out and exhausted and not having the sustainable career that they have is they aren't prioritizing those other things that they need. Your hobbies are important. Your spiritual life is important. Getting enough rest is important. And here's my little secret to my life. I schedule nap time. I do have naps that I take throughout the day. Part of that is because the main company for PublishDrive is in Budapest, Hungary. So a lot of my meetings are super early in the mornings, and I'm not a morning person. But guess what? I get up early, I do my meetings, I take a nap, and then I finish work. And that works for me. But if I don't have those naps scheduled in, I can feel myself dragging and I'm not as efficient. I'm not as productive because I don't get my nap time. So, really think of this in terms of taking care of yourself and putting those times intentionally in your schedule. Factor in your needs and your wants. Can you skip an hour of sleep every day? Yes. Should you? It's probably not sustainable long term. Like I said, getting up for these 6 a.m., 7 a.m. meetings, not fabulous for me. But if I know I'm going to get a nap, I can make that sustainable. And so be realistic about what a sustainable schedule looks like for you. And again, wrote it down, want to say it again because I can't say this enough. Make sure you're factoring in downtime and breaks. And so once you come up with how much time realistically do I have in the day to run my publishing business, this is when it's time to start getting organized. Now, I love a good brain dump. So I actually took this from my own personal Notion. Some of this actually are just items other people do for their writing business. Some of it's stuff I do. And what I wanted to do is show you just a basic to-do list of publishing. It's in no particular order. It's just all thrown out there. And this is what I want you to do with your tasks. I want you to take a look and say, okay, what are all the things that I have to do as a writer? What needs to happen in my writing business to make it all happen? And take a look at that schedule that you've created for yourself and the time blocks that you have available to say, okay, I have 2 hours a day to focus on my publishing business. Great. In that 2 hours, here's your to-do list that you have to do to put out one book. This is actually a to-do list for just one book. And so take a look at that, schedule those things in your calendar and say, okay, I need to choose my release date. Well, look at your calendar. Notice all of these things you have to fit into your calendar and be realistic about what that release date actually looks like. Because again, so many people say, okay, I'm going to release April 1st. Okay, cool. You're going to release April 1st. You have to do all of those things. Do you realistically have the time to do that in that space? And so once you do that, then you can prioritize, okay, here's all the things I have. This is what it looks like. And so the next thing that I wanted to show you is, again, this is all in Notion. I have these writing tasks. I separated them for some of my own books, actually. Again, just to show a little bit about that process, but also where am I at in those processes? And I didn't break it down the way that other list is broken down. But if you see like below, there's like this little publishing to-do list. That list, if you clicked on that link, it would take you there. But like I've got my writing tasks that aren't started, my in progress, nothing was moved to done yet because this is a fairly new process. I'm sorry, a new list. But like, if you notice, I've got all the stuff that's not started. I've got the stuff that's in progress. And then taking a look at that, that's a lot of stuff to do. That's like a whole bunch of books there that I'm simultaneously working on, which is probably not the most efficient thing to do. And then how do you sort out, okay, I have all these projects going at once. How do I prioritize what I want to do? Well, that's where you go back to your mission statement and your vision statement and what you're trying to accomplish with your writing career. And so I can take a look at that and say, okay, here's what I need to do. This is going to be my top priority. This is what I'm going to separate out, how I'm going to separate it, how I'm going to prioritize it. Again, you go back to that value and you say, okay, here's the value that I want to give. And because I've looked at my values, I know that the most important thing that I can do on this list right now is to write my lead magnet. But this is just to give you the idea of how you can prioritize this and how you can take a look at it, but then again, measure it according to what your values are. And so a couple of other organization ideas she helped me create. I say she helped me create. She created this book database for me, also in Notion, so that I can track each book, my pen name, published date, the blurbs, all the statuses, and other things I need to do for that book. I highly recommend. I really think that it's a great tool for staying organized and for optimizing and making your business more efficient. But for those of you who don't like Notion, I did want to show you. I also used to be an avid Trello user. When I was working for Harlequin, we used Trello for everything. And so I kind of converted this for my own personal writing. And what I did with this was how I organized my books and my titles. The point is just find something. Find a way that's going to work for you to organize what you have to do and what your tasks are for each book. Because to scale your business, once a CEO knows they can't do all the tasks themselves, they have to delegate items needed to grow their business that others can do for them. I encourage you to put that all out, make a list, put it in some spreadsheets, because you're going to take a look at that and compare it to your calendar, and you're going to say, well, okay, that's a lot of stuff. How do I do it all? As a CEO, you get to say to yourself, I'm going to need to hire an accountant. I'm going to need to hire a cover designer, hire an editor. Production aspects of my book, I can get help with that. Maybe you're going to hire someone to help with your marketing, or you could use AI for tasks that can be automated or done by AI. One of the things I like about Notion and why I moved to Notion is that Notion has a really great AI assistant built in that, as you can see, I had like all my crazy lists that were very random. I can actually go into Notion and say, okay, Notion, could you organize this for me? Because a lot of times I have Notion on my phone. So I'll think of something and I'll just like type it in the Notion in my phone. And then when I get on my computer, I have no idea where I put it. Well, Notion helps me do that. And so I love using AI for those tasks to just keep me organized. And this isn't a class on AI, so I won't go too deep into how else I would be using AI or what other AI tools I'm using. I'll briefly mention it later. But if you do want to know how authors are using AI, Steph Pajonas and I are hosting a podcast called Brave New Bookshelf, Perspectives in AI and Publishing. And so Steph is with the Future Fiction Academy. I'm with PublishDrive. And so together, what we've done is we've put together this podcast. We have a lot of guests of authors who are using AI and talking about how they're using it. Tune into that podcast on all major podcasting platforms to get a little idea on how you can do that. And so going back to that list and even the AI tools, you're like, okay, all of this stuff is really expensive. How do I know what to purchase, how to prioritize? The thing that you have to remember is that your time is money. Think about how much time you're going to spend on doing it yourself. Like I could make my own cover. If I want to save money, yeah, you can save money. But ask yourself, would this time be better spent on these items, or is it better spent on my writing? Because I think that you have to understand that your time is valuable and your time is an asset. So the steps to scaling your writing business, again, go back to that list, go back to the time you have available for your business. First of all, identify the tasks that can be automated. Like I said, Notion's got some really cool automation tools. I know a lot of other authors out there are using some very cool things for their automation. So figure, what can I automate? Like none of us, I don't think, for our newsletters are manually typing in every email address for every reader and sending it out that way. No, we automate it through a newsletter platform. And so think about things like that. How can you automate some of these tasks? The next thing, what tasks can you outsource? Go through that list, that big publishing list that I showed you before. A lot of those things are things you don't have to do. You could outsource them. Do you want to? I don't know. That's up to you and your time available, your budget available. And again, what's going to support your mission and what's important to you. And then the third thing, identify freelancers, publishing platforms that can help with all of those things. Figure out what's going to work for you and what your business needs. And then allocate those resources effectively, figuring out what's going to be the best use of my time, what's the best use of my money. And ask yourself, what can only I do? And that's kind of a trick question because I do think a lot of authors have this idea that they're the only one who can do a lot of pieces of their business. That's actually not true. There are a lot of things that you could pass on to someone else that they could do for you and free up your time for doing the things that you really love. And again, going back to that idea, as you settle on these ideas, are the things you settled on in alignment with the mission and values you set forth earlier? The most efficient and sustainable thing you can do for your business is to keep your focus on the mission and values you created. And that's why I had you do that first. And that's why I want to keep going back to that, because when you're asking yourself, okay, my street team, blah, 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 wait, is even having a street team in alignment with your values? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. And if it's not, why are you wasting time creating a street team? So think about all those things and how they relate to that vision. And so having that focus on your vision and mission, it makes your decisions easier. Do you want to go ride? Okay. Again, is being a wide author in alignment with your mission and vision? Maybe it is, maybe it's not. I know for a lot of authors, going wide is really not in alignment with what their author goals are, and that's okay. So if you go wide, are you going to directly upload, or are you going to use an aggregator like PublishDrive? Are you going to switch genres? What are you going to write? Are you going to be on social media or not be on social media? Here is a hint. Not every author needs to be on social media. So is you being on social media in alignment with your vision? Is it in alignment with your goal as an author? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But you need to make that decision based on what your values are. Because here's the thing, if you're spending 2 hours a day on social media, I want your life, not really. I don't think I could handle 2 hours a day on social media. Like if you're spending 2 hours a day on social media, but that's not in alignment with your vision as an author, that's 2 hours a day you could be writing. That's 2 hours a day you could be doing something more important to move your writing business forward. Whether or not you attend a certain class or a certain conference, is that in alignment with your writing business right now? It's conference season. I know a lot of people who are posting about conferences they're at, and I have some serious FOMO on some of them. And the thing that always kind of reassures me and recenters me is, okay, wait, that conference sounds like a lot of fun, but it's not in alignment with what I'm trying to do with my business at this time. And so that doesn't mean I'm never going to go to that conference. It just means that right now, that's not the best decision for my business. The question, which tools should you invest in? Hear people talking about these new pretty shiny tools that they're using, this and that. But is that in alignment with what you're trying to accomplish for your business? And same question, whether or not you should hire someone. And that really becomes the question you ask of every decision you want to make in your business is how well that aligns with what you're trying to accomplish. And so that brings us back to that time versus money decision. It's easy to choose something because you think it's going to cost you less money, but you've also got to spend time. You've got to factor in the time you're going to spend on that activity. So, like I was saying earlier about, can I make my own covers? Yes, yes, I can. Is it going to take me a lot of time? Yes, it will. I am terrible at graphic design. Terrible. Just for clarification, every ugly slide on this presentation I made, every pretty slide on this presentation, our corporate graphic designer did. So there you go. Point proven. Because are the covers I make for myself going to be good? Probably not, which is why I spend a lot of money hiring a cover designer, because I know that the time that I save having someone do it for me is going to give me that time to do other more important things to my business. Because that's the question I asked earlier. Is this the best use of my time, or is my time better spent on something only I can do? Well, I'm the only one who's going to be able to write my books. So hiring a cover designer to do something that I'm going to do poorly, yeah, that makes a ton of sense for my writing career. The thing that you're doing to save money actually costs you more money in the long run. And so it's so important for you to figure out what those things are that is going to be valuable to you. So here are a few time saving tools that I like. Notion, obviously, big fan. Scrivener, I wanted to mention just because I know a lot of authors use it. But here's the thing, I don't use Scrivener. I don't like Scrivener. It doesn't work for me. I spend so much time trying to figure out how to make it all work that I just get frustrated. And I would rather just open a Word document and write. And so for me, that's a terrible investment, even though I actually own it, I think. Well, I owned it on a previous computer. I don't know if the license still applies. But point being, I don't even care enough to look that up because I know it's a waste of my time and I can spend my time doing other things. I also want to point out Trello. Like I said, I used to use it, loved it. I love Notion better. OpenAI, those of you who use ChatGPT. Gemini is the Google one. I'm falling in love with Gemini, so I had to give it a shout out, even though Google doesn't give me money for such things. How dare them? And of course, PublishDrive. All of these are tools that you pay for that save you money. And what you have to realize is these are investments in your business instead of like thinking, oh my gosh, that's more money I'm spending. No, this is an investment to make your business easier and more efficient. And if that buys you back some of your time, that's a great investment. And so PublishDrive, why it is an investment in terms of being able to save you time, everything you need is all in one dashboard. And to me, that's a time and money saver. So I'm like, yay, I don't have to remember logging into a million different places because, again, that is something I waste a lot of time for. Like I was just saying with Scrivener, I theoretically own it. I bought it years and years ago when I was trying to use it. And like, even if I were to try to figure out if my license was still applicable, that would take me so much time to figure out. I'd rather just spend it writing. And that's really the thing that when we talk about efficiency and scalability is that figuring out and realizing that you are the CEO of your writing business. Take a look at only what you can do and find ways to scale the rest. Like if it's something I can get someone else to do for me and it makes sense, I'm going to have them do it because I want to focus on the things that are really important to me. The idea of scaling your business to save time and costs on administration gives you the to spend time on parts of your writing business that only you as a CEO can do. Again, like I could format my own book, but for 25 bucks, I've got someone I can pay to do that for me. And that just saved me 3 hours of headache, frustration, and probably more bad words than I should admit to saying. So is that worth 25 bucks? Absolutely. And so that gives me the time to do the things as a CEO I get to do. And focusing on your mission and values to determine where your time and money is best spent for your writing business. I know I keep saying that. And the reason I keep saying that is that's how you're going to make those decisions on making your business as efficient as possible. And then finally, when you use a partner like PublishDrive, you can get the widest reach to automate your tasks and have everything in one convenient dashboard. That's also going to help scale your business. And, you know, PublishDrive obviously is the sponsor, so I want to make sure we're mentioning them. But like I said, big Notion for doing this, a lot of things for me other than distributing my books. And so really think about those partners and those tools that are going to give you the bang for your buck, because I do use the paid version of Notion. Just spoiler alert, there's a free version, paid version. I like the paid version. All that to say, like, find what works for you. And I'm always happy to help people talk about this and figure out like how they can find tools and what things will work best for them, because it's really important. And it's so important to be able to say, yes, I want to be efficient and I want to grow my business. And what's the best way I can do that for myself? And so, for those of you who are interested in PublishDrive, I do want to present a little offer for you. You can sign up on PublishDrive, start your trial, upload your book, hit the publish button. We've got sales tracking, user promotion tools, and sit back and enjoy all the time you've saved. For those of you who are not PublishDrive customers, you can scan this QR code and get 25% off your first year's annual subscription for new subscribers. And I know this is a recorded presentation, so not have the opportunity to do so. But if you can't get it from the online presentation, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to provide that code to anyone. Stay in touch with us. There's our website. My email is there, danica@publishdrive.com. Like I said, if you didn't get the code, if you want slides, or you just had questions, feel free to reach out, because I am always happy to help. Like I said, I get it. Like, it is hard. Being an author is a crazy business, but it's worth it, in my opinion. It's just a matter of making it your own. So hopefully I've given you some really good tools, tips for figuring out how to scale your business. I know I didn't go in depth to a lot of the tools, but again, happy to answer questions. I know that there are some other people who are going to be doing presentations about some other cool tools as well. Best wishes to all of you. I will talk to you very